Okay, for some reason my phone went off. Turned the video off, but I'll just post this in the comments. But yeah, he he thinks that like there are 12 stargates that entities are fighting over, like in Afghanistan, Egypt, the Mayan one, Russia, these pyramids, China, all the pyramids. Like, this could be true, but if it was true, that's fucking terrifying. And if it is true, why is he being allowed to say things like this? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's basically saying that the evil aliens do siphon the souls and the energy of human beings in this fake kind of manufactured. They're manipulating the energy of the planet, and that's how they are immortal. They are of the darkness. They steal light. He said, all these kind. I mean, he's not the first person, and he's not the only person. He's in a group of people, and they all kind of say the same kind of things. These are the conspiracy theorists. These are they talk about ascended masters and all this stuff, and then, but Earth has the potential to shift timelines. It's a dramatic story. You are a hero to save the Earth from Armageddon and death and free the enslaved people, awaken their mind. It's this kind of narrative of like you are the spiritual hero to save the world from the evil elites. Okay, if the evil elites were ruling the world, why would they allow someone to expose them on the internet, first of all? Second of all, bro, you can't prove or disprove that there are cities underwater. The bombs caused the Earth to change axis tilts, but then change the frequency of the portals. Like you could teleport to other worlds through these stargates. The Ark of the Covenant was some kind of alien technology that allowed you to harness alien technology. They charged up these Ankh, Egyptian symbols with 5-dimensional energy. That's how they built the pyramids, by using anti-gravitational technology. It's all very dramatic, and it's all very, like, sensational. It's interesting, but I don't know if I agree with any of it. You know, the only way you would know is if you started talking to people in government, like in the CIA, and if you became friends with them, and you said, the chemtrails, and they poison the food and they poison the water. This whole narrative. Everybody's evil. They're intentionally poisoning you to stunt your spirit. Just because they're harvesting you like a slave. However, if you eat meat, you do the exact same thing to animals. Okay, you are guilty of the same exact murderous gluttony. You harvest the soul of animals and you devour their flesh. So if human beings eat animals and enslave animals, then why wouldn't aliens enslave humans? I don't eat animals, okay? But you do it, and then you maybe feel a little bit guilty. Oh, but it just tastes good. Oh, but you need the protein. No, you don't. It actually rots in your intestines. That acid that comes from meat is not actually that good for your digestion. But anyways, that's besides the point. I'm not telling you to be a vegetarian or not. I'm just saying you do it to fucking cows, so why would a reptilian not do it to you? You're just gonna plunder human beings, Why? I'm a superior life form, right? I have the power and the technology to control you, manipulate you, enslave you, and then feed on you. So I don't know. I mean, who cares is how I honestly feel. Like, I don't believe that you can't prove or disprove any of this, okay? Unless there are files and I'm sure people in government want to know because they hear shit like this. It's all over YouTube, There's many Alex Jones, there's many conspiracy theorists. Like, it's entertaining, but how valid is this? Sometimes I do think, yes, like Thoth the Atlantean and then Enki and Enlil and the Sumerians, they worship these ET gods that gave them technology. Did you really have flying ships 200,000 years ago? So they're saying that our technology is actually backwards. Like, we already knew how to fly around in space, and then history's been covered up by these draconian reptilian aliens that are very aggressive, It's straight up Star Wars, right? It's just straight up Star Wars. So they are the Siths that siphon the planets, but there's protectors of the Earth. This is whole fucking elaborate drama. There's guardians of the Earth. Okay, so what is it? Are we enslaved or are we protected? There could only really be one or both. It fits the narrative when it needs to fit the narrative, but it's conflicting information. The food's poisoned. It's these families that have been around. They're immortal. Maybe they're immortal. Nobody knows who the family is. Don't you think people would know, man? Don't you think there would be servants that leak out information? You don't think they live in these palatial mansions in the middle of nowhere? How lonely would that be? Just living in complete isolation, ruling over the world. Okay, then they want to talk about the central banks, like the Bank of London, like owns like all the central banks or something, which could be the Rothschilds. Okay, I mean, do you know what I mean? It's all just like, who cares? You know what I mean? Does this make my life better or make my life worse or neither? But I do think Samuel Lee's got a phenomenal healing energy. So I'll take the healing energy. As far as the story that you tell, I don't know, bro, man. Half of it is like you're just bored with life, so you create your own fucking fantasy. fantasy. It's like you're manufacturing a Hollywood movie. I'm the savior of humanity from the reptilians. We're going to free them. There's actually guardians, though, protecting the earth, but yet they're allowed to harvest the earth. Do you know what I mean? I'll go, which one is it, bro? Which one is it? Why would they? Why? Okay. If there are higher consciousness, enlightened beings protecting the earth, then why would they be allowing this? You have to think. Why would they allow? Do you know what I mean? It's like good versus evil. So, anyways, my opinion is I think that maybe, you know, it's really creepy to think that, like, if this was true, people are intentionally, hiding, misinforming the public. I think society likes to believe this narrative because it makes them logically explain why they are powerless over their life situation. It enables a slave consciousness. When you give your power away to a ruling elite or entity, you're basically saying, I am a slave. And then they cry about being slaves, and yet they enslave animals and murder animals. So you're feeding the murder machine, whether or not you intend to, but by eating meat, you are. You're feeding the desire to enslave, murder, and feast on flesh. It's kind of a, carnivorous thing. If you're going to do that, then why would other life forms not do the same exact thing to you? Then this is a universe of mirrors. That's why I don't eat meat, because I don't want to kill an animal. I would rather not. And cows and pigs are actually very loving animals, They live in fear. They're locked up in pens. They know that they're just going to get murdered. They're depressed as hell because they know they're just going to die. And you're eating that consciousness. I don't want to become that. I think you become the thing you consume. I don't want to become a terrified animal that knows it's just about to get murdered. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that, nor do I want to feed that. So, okay, so you need to stop bitching about getting harvested by aliens if you're doing this to animals. Just shut the fuck up is what I think. Shut the fuck up, dude. You're supporting the murder machine, okay? And anyways, I think society likes to believe this. I think it's convenient. I think it gives you an out. People like to have excuses for why they're failing in life. Truth of the matter is you just don't work very hard, and it's easy. You give yourself an excuse. People give themselves excuses all the time. In the UK, they call this explaining away. You have to explain yourself. You have to justify why you're unable to get what you want, why you feel like such a slave, You feel like a slave because you haven't mastered your masculine, productivity, and you don't know how to heal yourself in the feminine. That's why you haven't prioritized spiritual healing. You have not prioritized ultimate discipline. So that's why you're incapable of getting what you want. The people who get what they want are capable of productivity, maximization, and healing. You're supposed to become an excellent human being, and you're not. And it's easier for you to just say, well, the teachers, never cared about me. Well, the policemen are all evil. Well, it's all corrupt anyways. Well, the government doesn't care about you. They poison us. We have to resist the machine. I mean, you sound like such a loser when you say shit like that. Like, I don't know if any of this is true. I don't want to believe it's true, but if it was true, what can you do about it? You build political connections. You want to have alliances even in governments. I want to know what higher up people think. Do they all know this and it's hush hush? Or would they say, we have no evidence of this, honest to God, we have no evidence of this. We've looked everywhere and we know. I don't know. Hangar 18, fucking, what is it, Area 51. These are all mysterious things. Like, I think it makes sense that there are aliens. I think it could be a truth. Many people like the idea of Atlantis. They feel like they have some connection to it, But I think we're here to play a game. I do think that Earth and life is a game. And you create the reality that you choose to create. And a belief is a choice that you empower. You think that it makes logical sense, so you choose to believe it. But it's also a choice. So the story that you tell yourself about reality, about this world, about your life, is going to dictate, it maybe in a quantum field, or they call it the morphogenetic, the fucking fifth dimension. Like, the idea is that everything that manifests in three-dimensional reality, or like what we see with our eyes, first is created as a form or as a construct in this kind of astral realm, in a realm of potential, the morphogenetic field. And it's a harmonization of masculine and feminine energy, your heart chakra, and then your brain, your third eye. So it's being able to program the morphogenetic field with your mind and your heart. Because sometimes what your mind wants is not exactly what's going to be best for you or best for the world. So, I don't know. It's fun to play this game because it takes you from just being an average person to, oh, all of a sudden now I'm a hero of Earth, fighting against the machine. But I'm like, yes, but there's also a logical, practical way of explaining, economics and history. Most of the time, the most aggressive people were in control, and they were the rulers and they were the kings, because they just had more energy and more desire to like be wealthy. And, maybe they did it through devious means, plundering the poor. But they had the motivation to do it, and that's why they had power. Power comes to those who want it and are willing to fight for it, oftentimes fight to the death for it. That's what history teaches us. Most people just go with the flow. They don't want the conflict. They would rather just not deal with that, All right, we got to pay a little bit of taxes, but I don't want to die, I don't want to get arrested. These guys are insane, so we'll complain about them, but we don't exactly want, we don't want to like fight you for power, right? So this is what history teaches us. And who knows if history is even real? And we think it's real, but who even knows? Who even knows if the history books are real? Maybe it's all a simulation, but like, I don't know, man. If this doesn't actually help me get what I want in my life, like, I'm a practical guy. I'm curious about all this stuff, but it's like, what can I get from this information that will help me get what I want in life? Ultimately, I want it to be useful. Otherwise, it's just entertainment. I've seen all kinds of, I've seen every single conspiracy that exists. You know, they sacrifice children to owl gods. That's the creepiest fucking version, you know, human sacrifice. But yeah, it's disgusting, right? But yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, like, it only bothers you if it was a human, but if it was an animal, you wouldn't really care. That's the fucked up thing. You don't see animals as the same as humans. You see animals as lower life forms that you are justified to do whatever you want. So, I don't know. I mean, I really just wish that we didn't have to kill animals, and then I wish that we wouldn't kill each other, and then I wish that aliens wouldn't harvest us. You know, I just want to be free, karma free, guilt free. Like, trust me, dude, if I'm starving to death and it's either me or this chicken, I'm going to roast the chicken. Do you know what I mean? I place more value over my survival than dying of starvation. However, none of us are dying of starvation, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You just the ends justify the means. Well, we need the protein. No, you don't need the protein. But it tastes good. Yeah, but think about how sad that fucking animal is, man. Just like trapped in a cage, just waiting to die. That's terrible, man. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on any life. All right, guys. Anyways, I'm trying to recover through this burnout. I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to feel. I'm trying to keep it real. All right. See you later.